guy, particularly out in transition. He loves to get his body on you and get to the free throw line. 21 of those in the last 3 games, Derek.
These two teams meeting for just the 5th time all time, because Bethune-Cookman just their 2nd year in the SWAC. And we are underway from Houston.
Well, I mentioned it at the top there, the battle of the boards. Bethune gave up a ton. Their last game against Prairie View still won, but they lost that battle 28-47.
Jordan Nicholas with a jumper, left it short. Zion Harmon, another key to this team. The 3 rimming out from Kevin Davis.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned Harmon. He's the other part of that guard trio out on the perimeter. They're not very big, but they come with a powerful punch. Zion and Marcus do.
Both teams have struggled this season in part due to injuries that have riddled both sides. We'll tell you about that as the evening progresses. Right of the circle 3, missed and knocked out of bounds. And again, as you take a look at what happens here tonight, as Davon Barnes unable to get that one going, when you have those kind of injuries, Lance, it's also a matter of chemistry and trying to fill that void.
Well, that's the one thing that Coach Jones continuously talked about, chemistry. I mean, a lot of these guys were here last year, and we know in the last 3 years they've done a great job of getting into the tournament, out of their tournament, but they need guys to play together, and it starts with P.J. Henry, that guy there.
Knocking down the jumper, P.J. Henry. They have struggled mightily, speaking of Texas Southern, from behind the arc. One of the poorer teams in all of Division I college basketball, shooting from deep. And a good start there, courtesy of Henry.
Well, in talking to the staff, it's about transition, really, for both of these teams. SWAC basketball, they love to play fast. So it'll be about getting some defensive balance and not giving up easy looks at the rim.
Garrett lost the ball. Down the floor, Nicholas throws it down.
Well, that's the guy. I mean, every time you mention, or I mentioned, this team and how well they would play, Coach Jones looked at Henry. You saw it there with the 3, and then the great throw ahead for the easy finish.
5 in a row to start for the Tigers. Texas Southern has represented the SWAC in 4 of the last 5 NCAA tournaments, desperately trying to get their act together so they can do it again. Tough shot from Harmon off of one leg, and it's blocked out of bounds with 1 second left to shoot.
Well, just 4 out and 1 in, doing a good job of rotating and closing out short, to your point. Not great 3-point shooting, so you don't have to close out too hard.
That shot is good, but the shot clock sounded before it left the hand of Joe French. And they may have to take a look at this. Just from the naked eye, it looked like that was no good.
Yeah, from my angle, French did not get that out of his hands quick enough, or his hand, I should say. He certainly raises up and creates the space needed, but didn't get that all. French, the preseason player of the year in the SWAC, he is deadly from beyond the arc. 56% of his shots are threes. So he really wants to pull up and shoot the 3 ball. But I think we have the answer here, Derek, in terms of that shot didn't get out of his hands quick enough.
Oh, it looked pretty clear, but they're going to still examine this as Bethune-Cookman head coach Reggie Theus giving out instructions to his team. Yep, that ball is still in his hands. You want to get the call right, so taking a little time to make sure this is lined up correctly. Reggie Theus in his 2nd season as Bethune-Cookman head coach, 2-time NBA All-Star. He is also the athletic director, so he's got a busy lifestyle right now in terms of Bethune-Cookman athletics.
He absolutely does, Dick, and we talked about it today, and he didn't shy away from it. I mean, Coach Thea said that, hey, it is a lot of work. It's tough. Don't have a lot of time. But he was very complimentary. He was of the administration in terms of the support they're providing him to do both of these jobs. And he said he's got the energy and the passion, and it certainly was reflected today in the shoot-around.
His team coming off of a win on Saturday against Prairie View A&M, 60-58. The three is in from Davon Barnes. So again, the three-point shooting, we talked about it. It's been a struggle for them, 26% on the year. They've come out strong.
Well, and Barnes is not a guy you want to get going. He's their most consistent scorer. So look for them to run through him to get buckets.
Garrett answers. Finally, Bethune-Cookman on the board.
Well, that's about who and where you would expect baskets to come from. Garrett, one of the leaders of this team in terms of buckets.
Harmon moving off the miss by P.J. Henry. Harmon with the kick. The three by French that hits. Joe French knocking down the three, and Lance, as you said, he can fill it up from the outside.
Well, you had help come from the corner, and Mortal left the strong side corner, something you never want to do, especially when you have arguably the best shooter in the conference standing there.
Hook shot with the right hand missing, courtesy of John Walker III. To the baseline. Nice no-look feed down low. Oh, that is a turnover. A travel committed as Kevin Davis got caught.
Well, and Davis, I thought he got a little spooked around the basket. It was great defense, but go up through the defense, get the foul potential. If you get it blocked, you get it blocked. But certainly you don't want to travel if you got it that close to the basket, David.
Baseline. Nicholas with a right hand.
Well, Derek, we're seeing easy finishes, obviously the throw ahead, and then now you get to Nicholas that close to the rim with no one to contest. Right now, TSU doing a good job at scoring at all levels.
French cut off, fadeaway J, no good. The battle controlled and won by Mortal. Mortal lost the ball. Underneath the rim, trying to go glass and missing it was Barnes. Back and forth we go. French takes a dribble, lines it up, and knocks it down. Joe French. A one-point game now with Texas Southern up.
Coach talked about it today. Coach Thea saying he's fine with threes as long as they're the right people and the right shot. So you want to get French as many of those as possible.
To the rim goes Barnes, and he is fouled. Good start here in Houston. A one-point lead for Texas Southern.
Who's been at that level. Coach Jones is one of the elite coaches in this country in terms of coaching at major universities. Obviously, he was at LSU. Also, North Texas. At the end of his tenure at North Texas, he averaged 20-plus wins per season over about a 5 or 6 year period. So this is a very good basketball coach in Coach Johnny Jones.
Back-to-back SWAC tournament championships. The only team to disrupt their run to the NCAA tournament through the SWAC tournament, as we get to travel, is Prairie View A&M back in 2019. Of course, there was no NCAA tournament in 2020.
Yeah, and for a minute, it's been kind of TSU leading the pack and then Prairie View rivaling them. And some of this started with Coach Mike Davis, who moved on in terms of taking this team to an elite level and consistently getting in the tournament.
John Walker III smooches the window to give Texas Southern a 4-point lead at 13-9.
Well, I couldn't believe the poise of Coach Jones. He talked about the chemistry coming together and these guys being fully healthy are showing it here early in this game.
French moves it to Harmon. Under 10 feet. Harmon for three. That's no good. Barnes surveying. Blast through Garrett. That'll be his first.
He got a little overzealous. I like the rebound and then pushing it up right into offense, and P.J. Henry being in the position to be a receiver. But the defense going under the screen. They're doing a good job of moving those feet.
Davis. James Henderson in the mix, looking for the ball. Instead, Davis, under 10 to shoot. French, stutter step in the lane. Push shot, missed it, got it back. Pump fake, some contact, and he goes up, got stripped, kept alive, and now stolen. 2-on-2, make it 3-on-2. Oh, and a block by Davis, out of bounds. Back over to Texas Southern.
Boy, that was a great exchange on both ends of the floor. And French holding his hands up. He thought he might have gotten fouled. TSU did a good job of staying with it. But looks like we're going to get a goaltending call here.
Oh, goaltending.
It was a little bit delayed. Certainly you want to get it right. Coach D is having words. That was the goaltending, I guess, on that last shot by P.J. Henry.
Reggie Theus clearly displeased with that call. His team on the other side, they've turned it over 5 times.
Look how open the floor is. No big. Henderson clears out.
Davis under duress. Tried to bank it in, can't. Controlled by the Tigers. Pull up from Henry. Tracked down by Garrett. All the way down the lane, and a foul, and that should be goaltending perhaps as well, and it is.
Well, Walker, that's just a silly play. Garrett got all the way to the basket, and the foul occurred. Good job there, but no need to come in. Knock that ball out like that. Sorry about that. I said Walker, it looked like that was mortal. Goaltending.
And finishing off the three-point play is Garrett. Thanks for joining us tonight from Houston, Texas. Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you as Texas Southern, currently in 10th place in the SWAC. That is extremely notable. As we said, a team that has been a regular in the NCAA tournament representing the SWAC, but also the preseason favorite, to perhaps the surprise of nobody around the SWAC, to go back to the NCAAs.
And still in position to do so. These are guys who were here last year.
Fadeaway jumper, missed the follow. That is no good from Colby Granger. And now the wing three, that's short. And a loose ball foul coming up against Bethune-Cookman. So Henry could not connect, and the foul will be picked up by Damani McIntyre.
Got to finish defensive possessions with rebounds.
Henry trying to get through a tough defense. McIntyre threw it up. Wild shot. Controlled by Barnes. Barnes. Wide open shooter. Got it. Colby Granger knocking down the three-pointer. A rarity for him this season. He only shoots 13% from deep.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot great, but these are clean looks. You've got to pick people up. When you get feet in the paint and the defense collapses, it's just too easy on that end of the floor with Bethune being on defense. Eric?
Garrett off the mark. Henry back under control. Henry stops in the lane with the kick. The drive and one. John Walker III, three-point play opportunity on the way as the lead balloons to 8 for Texas Southern.
Just a great
in July of 2021.
talked to him today about his career. I told him, hey, that's a phenomenal career. He said, hey, I was even doing TV, obviously a little bit of a movie star, and inside stuff. He's just had quite the career. Really one of the rare people, Derek, to have either played or coached pretty much at just about every single level, including the G League, obviously the NBA, college, HBCU, SWAC. I mean, he's just phenomenal career.
He brings a wealth of experience to the table. It's Harmon. Now with 13 to shoot. Deshaun Dyson short on the jumper. The rebound taken by Davis. Davis fading away short on the jumper, and the rebound controlled by Grayson Carter.
Well, you mentioned the rebounds. Cookman's done a great job thus far in this game, not letting that get out of hand.
And the rebound off to Bethune-Cookman. That's one of the areas to track here, as knocked to the floor is Zion Harmon. And Harmon able to draw the whistle with that speed and quickness.
And the difference there, in the last possession, Davis was under the basket, so it wasn't easy to create the driving lanes like you saw there in an open floor situation. Contrarily, Texas Southern knows that they need to keep a man between the ball and the basket at all times with this team. They're quick off the dribble.
Fadeaway Jay, short, and the loose ball out of bounds, back over to Bethune-Cookman. So Dyson has come up here firing so far off the bench with his team down by 9. By the way, I would be remiss if I didn't get an extra shout out to the show Hang Time. One of the great television shows about basketball. Always a good time to reconnect with your childhood. Harmon driving in with a lefty finish.
And you know, Hang Time has gotten more love, I think, between you and our producer Robin than the game itself. You just light up whenever you hear Hang Time.
Saturday morning television. It's elite stuff.
You know, it's funny. It's a generational thing, because when I hear Hang Time, I think of Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Hey, but that's no slap at Saturday mornings. I'm with you.
And a foul heading back down the floor. One of the things that's been interesting to watch here so far, as Chris Craig was moving his way down, that's going to be the second on Zion Harmon. Holding on to the basketball has been a big problem here for Bethune-Cookman early on. We talked about the 5 turnovers earlier. That's number 6. As they continue to struggle to hold on to the basketball here, down by 7. On the road, you've got to take care of the basketball, Lance.
Well, and that's one of the areas where they were so successful. Bethune-Cookman was in their last game against Prairie View. It became a possession game. And I mentioned it early. They really they got all but slaughtered on the boards, 28-47. But down the stretch, they had a ton of ball security. And that ball security allowed them to get a 2-point win in that game at Prairie View.
Approaching 9 minutes left to go first half. A lead for Texas Southern. Davis, high arcing jumper, left it short, and a steal by Garrett, punched it away. Dyson fading away and scored.
That's just a difficult guard. It wasn't, but it was a version basically of an isolation, especially when they don't have a big down low. Bethune is very difficult to guard.
Craig puts it up and in. Chris Craig, the Houston, Texas native, scores it to make the lead 7 for Texas Southern.
They're very excited about his future here.
Dyson with the lob for Davis, missed a shot, but then losing it out of bounds was Craig. Back over to Bethune-Cookman.
The defense, when you go for a steal like that, you create opportunity. That's why steals can kind of be misleading.
Davis, and he'll go to the line for a pair. And Lance, this is a smaller lineup than what Reggie Theus, I think, envisioned. So they're having the battle for the boards.
And they're doing a great job of gang rebounding. We saw a minute ago with one of the smalls sneaking up from behind and stealing the ball on the rebound. They know, I mean, they dodged the bullet against Prairie View.
Here's our next ACC-SEC Super Tuesday doubleheader at 7 Eastern. Armando Bacot and North Carolina take on Wake Forest. And then Oscar Tshiebwe and Kentucky host Arkansas at Rupp Arena. Should be a great night of hoops on ESPN and the app. North Carolina and Wake Forest both having aspirations to get into the NCAA tournament.
Can't forget what North Carolina did as the season wore on last year. Weren't expected to go as far as they did. You're a big ACC guy. I know that.
The kick for Garrett from the elbow, short, and the rebound controlled by Texas Southern and Jordan Gilliam. And a turnover courtesy of Gilliam. That pass wide of Farouk. 5-point lead for Texas Southern. We'll have more from Houston.
7 for the entire game. They've already got 6 in the first half, and a lot of that has to go to Texas Southern and the job they're doing pressuring the basketball and keeping their bodies between the ball and the basket, and then lastly being very physical.
Down the lane, the layup no good. Right there with the follow is McIntyre. The kick to French for 3. And this is the last thing Texas Southern needs. Another injured player. John Walker III with his shoe off.
A key injured player. It doesn't look great. Oh, ouch. Garrett literally fell on the foot.
This Texas Southern team has been riddled so much with injuries. They were down at least 2 starters in every SWAC game until January 16th. And that's only a piece of it. 14 games missed combined this season between Barnes, Nicholas, and Henry. And Lance, you know, we talked about the three-point shooting. When you don't have your guys in, everything's going to suffer accordingly.
It just puts pressure on your whole roster. And ironically, this is the 24th game of the season for Texas Southern. This young man, Walker, has played in all 23. And they finally get their group back home. And potentially a significant injury, which we hope not, obviously.
Lucas Gudavicius into the game for Bethune-Cookman. One of the few bigs in this game. And he comes up with a steal off of Nicholas. In the lane, hopping in and losing the basketball was Dyson. Pull up from Henry. Trickles in.
Well, that's just too easy for Henry. Allowing him to walk right into the elbow in rhythm. He's such a good decision maker on the move, PJ Henry is.
Henry averages 8 points per game. He has 7 so far tonight. As French swarmed near the free throw line and a jump ball with a possession arrow pointing in favor of Bethune-Cookman.
A lot of coaches have trouble with guys reaching, but Texas Southern is really good at it. At helping reaching and not fouling. We've seen that action a few times. Speaking to your point with all the turnovers, a lot of times the turnovers by Bethune-Cookman are coming from people that are helping onto the driver and getting a hand on a ball.
Just cleaning up a wet spot on the floor.
This is when they're good, but then when they've got a big out on the floor.
Davis can't hit over Craig. Off to Henry. Henry trying to get a step on Gudavicius.
So he's got a little bit of a mismatch. Gudavicius, he is a wing player who had to play a big spot. He looked at coach, and that's what got him in trouble. Literally looked at coach. P.J. Henry recognizes it, goes right by him. Wow, great recognition by P.J. Henry.
9 points now for Henry. Garrett tried to throw that arm out to move around Granger.
Watch here. As you see him looking there, you turn the head, and P.J. blows right by Luke, who was looking at coach, and then it's too late once he gets going downhill. P.J. Henry also does a great job of not trying to get all the way to the basket. Gets into that 12, 16, 17 foot area, and he is extremely deadly.
Bethune Cookman. One of the interesting things so far with this lead right now at 4, they've been more accurate from 3 than they have been from 2. They're only shooting 16% thus far on 2-point shots and just under 60% on 3s.
And that's because of the length and athleticism that Texas Southern has around the basket. Let's see, does that change with Walker being sidelined and also playing with a little bit of a smaller lineup here in the latter part of this first half, Texas Southern.
Henry. And a near steal there by Gudavicius. And Lance, you mentioned his change essentially in position because of the injuries. A wing player now basically forced to play center. And on top of that, he's a freshman. He's still learning anyway.
He's been learning the speed and the rhythm of this league as mortal misses.
Nicholas with a two-handed sledgehammer.
Bethune has done a relatively good job so far on those boards, but watch that area because Texas Southern will crash those boards all night long.
Gudavicius puts it on the floor, strip. Henry, 1-on-2. Nicholas there to try to follow, and that ball is knocked out of bounds. It'll stay with Texas Southern.
Well, there's a pattern again. The help coming in and swiping and taking the ball away. If you can't go make a 2-3 dribble shot, you need to get off of the ball if you're playing on the perimeter for Bethune Cookman, because Texas Southern will take it. Their defense is that good on the perimeter.
Henry. Double teamed in the corner. Swings a pass inside. And we're going to whistle.
You've almost got to attack Henry. He does a good job, as his teammates do, of making themselves available along the baseline to bail them out.
Foul on Joe French. That's his first. Into Craig. Approaching 4.5 left to go in the first half. Henry. Long miss to Garrett. The drop for McIntyre. His jumper's up. That's short. And the SWAC leader in rebounding, Nicholas, able to grab the carom.
And Bethune Cookman's offensive rebounds have waned here. Texas Southern now starting to give only one shot and out.
And that's one of the things Johnny Jones talked about wanting to do to Bethune Cookman. One and done.
Yep.
Shot clock to 5 for Henry. Shake and bake time for Henry. Too strong. Didn't hit the rim. And we will have a loose ball foul. It'll be against Texas Southern. Off the push. And Chris Craig. 6-point lead held by Texas Southern. Heading down the home stretch. Getting you set soon for halftime. Come on back. Alabama's Brandon Miller, the number 9 recruit in the country in 2022. He's been huge so far for Alabama.
He has been absolutely exceptional. They went in early in the season. He didn't have the greatest game, but they beat Houston at Houston. They are going to be alone with that young man, Miller, as we approach tournament season.
Garrett with the bucket to cut it to a 4-point game. By the way, Duke will be looking to rebound on Saturday against Virginia after getting waylaid tonight by Miami, 81-59 in South Florida.
And Coach Larinaga, Coach Jim Larinaga, has the Hurricanes also prepping for tournament time.
Nicholas and one. Joe French right there as well, and he'll pick up the foul. That'll be number 2 on French.
Not a lot of size on the floor. Hardly any resistance. Nice little hezzy move there. French comes in late.
The rebounding is surprisingly even, just a 19-18 edge, but it's actually for Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, what the story that's not been told, though, is a lot of that happened in the first half of the first half. As things have moved, rebounding momentum in some form has kind of leaned towards Texas Southern. I know that's anecdotal because it's not reflected in the numbers.
Davis turns it over. Henry gets to the lane. Oh, it looked like he was going to try a lob perhaps there to Nicholas. Back on the other side, it's Harmon. Harmon's been mostly quiet here throughout this first half.
Which is surprising. I mean, they had Davis trying to make the play from the perimeter in the last possession.
Henderson with the offensive rebound to keep the possession alive. Davis out for 3. That's good. Kevin Davis picking up just the 8th field goal tonight for Bethune-Cookman. By the way, 5 of the 8 field goals are 3-pointers.
Well, and you talked about the rebound a minute ago, and how about Henderson getting the offensive rebound and creating that opportunity, making himself more than just serviceable as a big for Bethune-Cookman.
Mortal floats it with the right hand and in. Za'Tarius Mortal, the outstanding freshman and the leader in steals on this squad, trying to get going offensively. It's a lead of 6 for Texas Southern.
And Mortal is their Russell Westbrook. They love his athleticism and how physical he plays.
First points of the half for him. That ball may have gotten kicked there. Instead, Garrett will not get his wish for a possession here for Bethune-Cookman. It's the 10th turnover tonight for the Wildcats.
Oh, and who was guarding him? Who was in that play? Mortal. That athleticism. He's almost like a defensive back defensively in some ways, where you want to throw away from him. It's because he's so athletic with great hands and feet.
Henry, under 90 seconds left to go in the first half. And the bucket is in from John Walker III, who's back in after leaving the game earlier due to an injury. Good to see him back in the mix. 22 points in the paint now for Texas Southern.
And Coach Jones mixing it up, now getting buckets off the block.
Harmon missing the 3, and that ball is out of bounds. Last touch, they say, off of Bethune-Cookman. Johnny Jones looking on. Has to be pleased with what he's seen so far, by and large, from his team. Up 8. That ball swatted out of bounds, and it will stay with Texas Southern.
He's quite fortunate because of the angle of the referee. I thought that went off of Walker's hip.
You are correct, sir. That indeed did go off of Walker. Now Reggie Theus.
Reggie said, come on, man.
Timeout called on the floor by Bethune-Cookman. They want to talk it over. 36-28 lead For Texas Southern, Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you tonight as Reggie Theus stating his case. They will still give the ball back over to Texas Southern. I mean, the play happened right in front of us. I thought that clearly hit off of John Walker III, but nonetheless, it's a possession for Texas Southern. Mortal, the kick. Jumper from Walker missing. The rebound taken by Henderson. Garrett running the floor. Offensive foul. Marcus Garrett picking up his second foul.
Well, I was really surprised to see that as a charge. It looked like it was a shoulder and a hip. Ooh, to me, it looks like leaders trying to get a little bit of momentum and competing as you close out the first half. As he's frustrated because he was frustrated with the ball going out of bounds, and then that call, which as you called it's a bang-bang play. And that's your leader on the bench here late to end the half.
P.J. Henry. 10 seconds left. Henry trying to make a move. Step back three, short. And the rebound over to Walker. He lost the ball, and that will cap the half after the heave by McIntyre. 36-28 lead. Texas Southern up, Lance.
They've done a great job of controlling things at all levels. Carrying the ball and ball security was something that was talked about, of course, the rebound. But how do they respond, as you mentioned, to the turnovers from the first half, but also continuing to crash those boards and try to do it, particularly on the offensive end, and get some easy baskets.
Barnes along with Mortal. Nicholas here. Nicholas, oh, what a move. Nicholas couldn't finish it. Mortal got his hand on the rim, but he didn't have the ball.
That was a great move down low. It looked like a zone, though, to me, that Bethune came out with early. I'm trying to press TSU to make some shots from beyond the arc. As I mentioned a moment ago, they only made 3 of 10 in this first half.
Henderson outside. The three by Davis missing. Another rebound for Jordan Nicholas.
Good pass by Henderson. Not looking for him to score a lot, but you have the one inside in Henry to facilitate more offense by passing.
Henry has that jumper rattle out, and Davis with a loose change for Bethune-Cookman. French trapped, tried to throw it inside, and it's a steal.
But not who he is. He forced that.
Layup is in from Davon Barnes.
That was a great job. There was virtually no floor balance because of where French was on this end of the floor. He's better 1-2 dribble and up or catch and shoot. That time French tried to create offense that wasn't there, and it turned into an easy layup for TSU.
Largest lead of the game for Texas Southern. But the ball turned over to French, who's open from 3, and it's in. Joe French, 4 of 4 from 3.
And that is who he is. Walked right into that 3 ball.
Walker. And to Henry. Nicholas at the post. Runs into Barnes. Under 10 to shoot. Barnes, pull up Jay. Rebounded by Henderson. Texas Southern started the game with 8 straight points. They haven't looked back since. Contested shot from Garrett. Sturdy defense provided by Barnes.
And TSU has really turned it up. They did have the turnover on the rebound that ended in the French 3, but other than that, they've been, as you said, very sturdy and stingy on the defensive end of the floor.
Off the Barnes miss, a run out. Harmon, and Harmon is fouled by Mortal. That'll be number 1 on Mortal, who almost got the block there, but instead got a piece of Harmon. And they transfer from Western Kentucky at the line to try to cut into this deficit.
Well, Zion and Marcus, if there's going to be a push to get back into this game, it's going to have Harmon's and Garrett's fingerprints all over it. They're the 1-2 punch for them. Coach Diaz knows it. We talked about it today. It goes through the guards. As those guards go, so does Bethune Cookman. And of course, they have the sharpshooter to complement them in French from the perimeter.
Mortal feeds the post. Easy layup for John Walker III.
And that's why you want the ball to change sides of the floor. Just a great job of ball movement. The ball can be passed quicker than it can be dribbled from one side of the floor. That was excellent ball movement. Get the easy finish around the basket.
And a steal by Mortal. On the run. Hammer. Oh, no, he didn't. He cocked it back and missed the dunk.
Yeah, it looked like he was walking on air as he missed that finish.
Garrett leans in, and a blocking foul on the way. That'll be charged to Texas Southern.
I talked about trying to go away from Mortal because of how good he is. Did you see him gets a hand in? And then I think the little look right over his shoulder is what caused that. It was a little bit of a timing issue. So credit Harmon, not something that'll show up in the box score, but getting back on defense instead of giving up on the play. That's the primary reason you want to get back on the defensive end, regardless of the scenario in front of you.
That was the first foul charge to Nicholas. And we saw that earlier, but on the side of Bethune-Cookman with the Budavicius play, just that quick second lapse can really create a change in the play. Mortal. Battle for the loose ball, won by Walker. Walker trying to square up against Davis. Got it back, and an easy layup for Walker.
Yeah, Walker just has a knack for scoring the ball. Tried to create a little too much, but stayed with it. And this is a guy who's one of the tops in scoring for this team last year.
Harmon's three is no good. The run out for Walker. Walker hammers it in.
Knack for scoring. He's just so nimble at that size. He doesn't have a lot of meat on the bone. He doesn't have a lot of weight on the chassis, but he certainly is nimble.
With LSU, and among the players that he coached while he was at LSU, Ben Simmons, who is, of course, now a member of the Nets, and it goes deeper than Ben Simmons. He's got a pretty good pedigree as a coach and as a recruiter dating back to his days at LSU.
Well, that's what you have to do as a coach. Not have to coach these guys, but you've got to recruit good players. Ben Simmons from Australia, storied player, NBA player, went to Mount Bird, obviously drafted the first pick to Philly. And we'll come back on the other side and talk a little more about Ben.
86 for the LSU Final Four team.
Oh, he's won at multiple levels, and we talked about it, even winning with bringing in players like Ben Simmons. I mean, the thing that to me that's most impressive is what's there at the bottom left-hand corner of your graphic. The 5 seasons, 20-plus wins at North Texas. He single-handedly turned that program into one to be reckoned with. And then now they have Coach Grant McCafflin, who's done a great job. He's also done a great job of bringing in awesome staff. Coach David Patrick, who's now at Sac State head coach, helped him with bringing in Ben Simmons. So Texas Southern is very fortunate to have him here, and as is Bethune with Coach Diaz. These are two storied coaches on these sidelines in terms of what they bring to these programs and their history and success at the collegiate level.
That's the third on Barnes. Follow up on that, when Johnny Jones was at LSU. He recruited a young man by the name of Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes, he did.
And his son, Shaquille O'Neal's son, Shakir, is on this team for Johnny Jones. They continue to wipe up a wet spot on the floor, and
it's about players.
Catch and shoot by Davis, misses, and the rebound controlled by Walker. Barnes looking for that entry pass. 6-point lead. Despite Bethune-Cookman's struggles offensively, they're still very much in this game.
Well, and one of the keys is they can knock down threes. I mean, they've been great. 5 for 9 from that mark.
French, good again. Joe French connects one more time, and just like that, the lead is down to 3.
Well, he's such a deadly shooter. I mean, he gets a clean look, write it down. But and the other thing is knocking down free throws as well. Haven't missed one of those. 9 for 9.
French, by the way, 12 points in his last 2 games, each time out. And that ball tipped out of bounds, back over to Bethune-Cookman, who can tie the game up with a 3.
Yeah, they're always a stone's throw away. That's a good pass as well. Garrett recognizing he's got his shooter trailing. Floor is wide open, no one around the basket, so it's clean to get a good drive to the basket.
Kick and shoot for French, missing this time, and a run out. Down the floor is Henry. Henry all the way in with the layup. What did you think there? Did it look like Henry maybe got a piece of the net?
It did, and so I thought it was the right no call, if you will, when he laid it up. As you mentioned about bang-bang plays, it happened so quickly, didn't see who was that grabbed the net.
And an illegal screen will send play the other way.
This is just a good recognition by Henry here. Yeah, he got that himself. And are you looking for an offensive goaltending in that? Is that why you asked the question?
I mean, perhaps. Perhaps that call could have warranted it, and Reggie Theus was looking for that call, but it did not happen.
I think, and we need super slow motion, I think the ball was through the rim before the net was pulled.
Could have been the case. Henry, under 10 to shoot. Texas Southern holding 5. Gets Davis out of the way, can't score. Almost got it back. Now, nope. Still, and now he gets it back. And it's thrown away. 2-on-1. Garrett in the lane, and he's swatted away by Thornton. Saved by Barnes. Nicholas, corner 3. Henry missed it. Nicholas with a loose ball, and he is fouled.
Wow. Did you see that block? Literally, he was floating on a, Mortal was floating on a cloud in the sky, and he just slapped that down. He literally looks like a genie in the sky. He times this. Wow. And let him know about it as well. What an athletic play. He saw that at half court. He knew what was going to happen. You saw him veer out as the guard there. Garrett should have stayed attached to take away the incredible angle that Mortal had to block that basketball.
By the way, that foul was charged to Henderson. That's his second. You know, Arizona State found out about Mortal's hops earlier this season.
That's right.
So he can get up.
He sent him to the house with the tip in to win that game. And you mentioned it. You didn't know if the Pac-12 would be interested in doing any challenge action anymore.
they had the SWAC Pac-12 Heritage Challenge as the jumper is short from Harmon. It was set up for this year. We'll see if it continues moving forward. But at the very least, as we get a whistle here, Arizona State will host Texas Southern next year. So there will be a return regardless. 5-point lead for Texas Southern. 46-41. More from here. We mentioned Texas Southern defeating Arizona State and Washington State falling to Prairie View A&M. Also, days after that, Southern knocked off Cal. So the SWAC took care of business against the Pac-12.
They did. And, I mean, they were really impressive with, I mean, in total. And these teams can do that. I mean, they have to go out early and play on the road and play, you know, the infamous bye games. And I thought they were just fantastic with their results this season.
Crossover and a foul off the drive by Garrett. The three-point shooting for Texas Southern has struggled certainly after the quick start. They were 2 of 3 from 3, and they are at current moment 3 of 13. So again, this is a team averaging just 4 made threes per game.
Unless Bethune-Cookman can get fouled around the basket, and that free throw turns it into 11 for 11 from the free throw line. Unless they can get fouled, there's really nothing happening inside the arc for them with consistency.
Here's our next ACC-SEC Super Tuesday doubleheader at 7 Eastern. Armando Bacot in North Carolina take on Wake Forest. And then Oscar Tshiebwe and Kentucky host Arkansas at Rupp Arena. Great night of hoops on ESPN and the app on tap for Tuesday. 3-point game, 46-43. Texas Southern up. They have led the whole way.
Wow, no call on that.
Outside three is in. Colby Granger, who has shown the range. That's his second three of the game. And that pushes the lead out to 6.
It's just been that kind of night for TSU. Oh, wow. I thought potentially a charging call on Walker.
Garrett with 10. Pump fake, leans in. Couldn't bank it in. Fights hard for the rebound. Kept it alive. 3 up. That's no good. As Harmon can't get it to go, and a loose ball foul on the way. That will be number 3 on Garrett.
How about the job that Granger's done? All that. He hadn't had a game this season where he's made 2 from beyond the arc. As a matter of fact, that 3 there makes it 4 for 15 on the season.
They're coming in shooting just 13% from 3. A foul and a bucket. Davis tried to stop Walker. He could not.
Well, that's a difficult guard simply because Walker is so good, both facing and posting. He's rangy. I thought he might have got away with a little carry action there. If you're not going to double him, it'd be a long night, particularly with his back to the basket.
Efficient night from the field for Walker, 7 of 9. Misses the free throw.
Well, TSU is synchronized. Coach Jones called it with getting everybody back. He knows how good these guys are, but he said it's the synchronization and the chemistry that will determine our fate.
He wants to give the players ownership of the team, and he felt like that was very important, and they certainly seem to respond to him. Shot clock to 5. Harmon gonna have to make a move, lost the ball, and a foul late in the shot clock. We'll see if that will be in the act of shooting. That'll be team foul number 6 against Texas Southern. That will be the first foul picked up by Jordan Gilliam, sending Harmon to the free throw line.
Well, Gilliam is going to need to be solid here, especially with no P.J. Henry on the floor. Check that.
On cue.
On cue, exactly. Coach Jones knows that.
Meanwhile, Kalen Farouk will take a breather.
Yeah, and I thought that lineup, if you didn't have Henry and Walker, was a little risky for Texas Southern.
Texas Southern got it to 44, or excuse me, Bethune-Cookman got it to 44-41. But Texas Southern has been able to pull back out in front. The jumper is in from Grayson Carter.
Grayson just got in a few minutes ago, and I thought when they got the switch, Bethune would try to exploit him on this end of the floor, but that's big time if they're getting buckets from him, especially outside of the paint.
Feed down low, the layup by Henderson is good.
Boy, what a great pass and good hands. Dyson getting in the paint.
Henry. Down low for Carter. The kick wide open. And then cut off with a foul is Henry.
How about that recognition? It's great recognition by Carter, knowing where the small is on the other side of the floor. He played in high school up in North Texas with Jalen Wilson. Great player for Kansas. He's having an exceptional year.
Gilliam, foul line Jay, and that one is a foul against McIntyre. So after Harmon picks up his third, McIntyre picks up his second. And that's team foul number 6 for Bethune-Cookman.
McIntyre is frustrated because there was a slight leg kick. Watch I think it was the right leg. You see it go out there. And he's still arguing about the leg kick. That's something at the next level that's been clamped down on at a point of emphasis. But you can't kick that leg out. And often that's an offensive foul.
Gilliam gets both. 9 free throws tonight for Texas Southern. In SWAC games, they've averaged 25 free throw attempts per game. But just 9 attempts thus far. Still lead it, though, by 8. Dyson goes glass to put it in.
Dyson is incredibly quick off the bounce. We saw it possession or two ago where he ended up dishing off to Henderson. You've got to keep him on one side of the floor and out of the paint because he's so slippery and crafty when he gets inside of the paint with the ball in his hands.
The Chicago, Illinois native cutting it to a 6-point game. Barnes misses. A run-out opportunity for Garrett. Takes it to the rim, pump fake, and scores. Marcus Garrett, 2 more to cut it to a 4-point game. Bethune-Cookman has been hanging around all night, Lance.
And if they're going to get baskets inside of the arc, it has to be done in, I think, transition or driving kicks to Henderson, because otherwise Texas Southern is doing too good a job. Good recognition there by Garrett.
Gilliam gets a step, caught in the air, and a blocking foul called against Henderson. That will be his 3rd. 4-point lead.
Regardless of who you were and where you coach, and there was a fire in the belly. Coached so many great players like Mark Macon, and then even, I mean, if you talk about fire in the belly, YouTube, the infamous press conference.
Oh yes.
with Coach Cal. I mean, and then you had other guys that came along with him and or near his era with, you know, coaches like John Thompson and then Nolan Richardson and even now today Leonard Hamilton. So one of the greats, and I saw him there in the picture with Hershey Hawkins. Talk about greats. He could shoot it as well as Coach Theus in his day.
For more Black History storytelling and coverage, stream the Black History Always collection on ESPN+. Coach Theus has to be happy his team is still in this. It's only a 4-point game at 55-51. Texas Southern out in front. Gilliam hops outside with the pass. Walker, floater is in. Tough shot by John Walker III.
I hate to be overly redundant, but just a knack for scoring the ball. Speaking of which, one of the best times to run or put pressure on the team is after they score. And you saw that there with Garrett. Did a great job of using his body and the angle to get that layup after a bucket was scored on this end of the floor by TSU.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because the defense isn't always set, especially if a guy drives to the basket. It sometimes can catch them off guard. You see it there, but that was on a miss.
Davis cuts it to a 1-point game. 57-56.
Well, you mentioned this early. You said you feel like Bethune is pressing when they weren't making these shots. They're still pressing, offensively that is, and the shots are going in now.
What an answer provided by P.J. Henry, hitting the three to get the lead back out to 4 at 60-56. A timeout call by Texas Southern. That is a huge response.
Well, P.J.'s playing poker.
Bench points as well, but Bethune-Cookman has utilized timely three-point shooting and really great activity down low at times by the guard Marcus Garrett to stay in this game.
I love the speed and pace he's playing with right now. You see there, this is a design play out of bounds, but he gets it up quick, so they have plenty of time here in the front court to get the shot that they want.
Dyson gets by Walker, missed a layup.
Excellent execution there. They wanted that switch, which they got with Walker, and they got a layup and just didn't finish it.
Henry. Now Gilliam.
Good job not pressuring guys who can't shoot from distance. But yet another mismatch.
Nicholas against Dyson. No look feed and a foul as Granger went up top. And now we'll go to the line for a pair of free throws.
That's just caring and sharing. Nicholas went along the baseline. We saw a cutting Granger making himself available. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do in that scenario. When you've got a guy, a teammate bottled up, you've got to cut.
Free throw shooting has been a big problem for Texas Southern this season. They shoot it at a 64% clip. As Granger misses both, that's 11th out of the 12-team SWAC. So problems abound from the free throw line for Texas Southern. Garrett just trying to muscle his way in, and a foul. We'll see who got him first. Nicholas was there, but they'll get Granger for his second foul.
Well, because of the free throws and the way that Bethune likes to play, I think advantage goes to them down the stretch right now. And what I mean by that is, I think TSU, wants to go up and down and use their athleticism and their size and ability to run, get easy baskets. Whereas Bethune, we saw that against Prairie View, love to play the possession game. Coach talked about it. Good shots, they make free throws, and not do the volume thing in trying to win this game.
Nicholas surrounded by three players, gets blocked by Davis. Garrett. Now the feed down low. Davis lays it in, and we're tied at 60.
That's just good execution. And again, Garrett does such a great job of recognizing when floor balance isn't great. He's also unselfish, willing to give it up.
First time all night that it's been tied, as Walker is fouled, and Walker will go back to the free throw line.
Yeah, he's fouled by Davis, and I thought that was too late. He was slow getting over. And foul ball, making shots, leading, passing, doing everything but selling popcorn. There.
Well, anytime you can get 20 points in a game, it's pretty cool. But maybe even cooler than that, 9 rebounds, and he's 6'1". And he's down there, keep in mind, he's down there with the SWAC leader in rebounding in Jordan Nicholas.
You know, what's totally weird about that is he's been incredibly unselfish. How does he have 0 assists in this game? Hockey passes, which is the pass before the assist. He's been really good. He had one a minute ago with French.
Garrett gets a step, can't close the deal at the rim.
And Walker, as he does a beautiful rim run there, came over late to try to block that. And I thought he forced Garrett to be a little faster than he needed to be on that layup. Caused him to miss.
Entry pass to Walker, too easy for John Walker III. After the game was tied at 64 straight by Texas Southern, who has never trailed in this game. Davis with the head fake and a foul coming up against Texas Southern.
Yeah, I talked about it earlier where Texas Southern has a lot of help that will come and get their hands on balls. That time it backfired against them because the help was not in the best position. And I thought Davis was very fortunate because he was trying to create offense where there wasn't any.
Davis can't connect on the free throw. Both teams, by the way, in the bonus. So 1-1 for Texas Southern for the moment. And that pass is thrown away. So Walker can't catch up to it. Next team foul committed by Bethune-Cookman will put Texas Southern on the line for 2 free throws. Meanwhile, Bethune-Cookman, if they're fouled, it'll be a 1-1.
Yeah. Speaking of the free throw line, that was the first miss of the game. The line by Bethune, that Davis free throw miss.
Harmon came up short. Stingy defense by the Tigers.
Yeah, and the rebound was absolutely exceptional there. And Nicholas went and got that at its apex and just snatched that ball out of the air.
Under 2 minutes left to go. Fun game here from Houston.
Yeah, I like TSU here taking their time to get what they want.
Nice spin move by Nicholas. Could not finish at the rim.
Good offense and defense.
Harmon taking his time. Over to Davis for 3. Missed it. Tipped. McIntyre's got it. Outside. Garrett. The feed for Dyson. He'll try a 3. That's no good. The battle for the loose ball over to Texas Southern. Oh, they desperately wanted that 3. Down 4. And it looks like we may, at least Bethune-Cookman wants a review, and I believe we might get one here.
Yeah, and how about they said, you didn't say it, but referee Thomas Northcutt said there was nothing conclusive to turn that call over. So it stays TSU ball.
Oh, near steal by Dyson, and it will stay with Texas Southern.
And these guards are very quick for Bethune. So you've got to, not only when you make a pass, the receiver's got to come meet it because they'll shoot the gap.
A steal. Harmon lays it in. Cuts it to a 2-point game at 64-62, and a timeout called by Bethune-Cookman.
And prime example where the receiver doesn't come to the ball. He tries to slide. These guys are just too quick. Look at that. He's going away.
And that has opened the door big time for Bethune-Cookman, because now they don't have to foul. They can play this possession.
We've got plenty of time, but they stay with the pressure. TSU has their two best ball handlers in the backcourt, in Gilliam and Henry. And so now Henry's going to become the off guard.
Gilliam.
They want to play through the post. Walker.
No look feed down low, and that leads to a foul.
Well, it was a great pass, and because of the size issues down low, he's able to make that pass right on the basket. It was a quasi no look. You see it, take that back. It was a full-on no look. So let me add to that. Obviously, not only the size, but the no look created the lane to get that ball through.
This is arguably the biggest women's basketball game of the season so far. Aaliyah Boston, an undefeated #1 South Carolina host, Angel Reese, and undefeated #3 LSU. Coverage begins at 2 Eastern, Super Bowl Sunday on ESPN and the app. One more for Barnes. Again, free throw shooting. An albatross around Texas Southern. 1 out of 2 for Barnes. A timeout called as Bethune-Cookman will huddle up along with Texas Southern to talk.
To make a big shot over me, and I don't foul, particularly in the paint, because it's a bucket with how well Bethune shoots free throws.
Zion Harmon, 27 seconds left.
Get a switch.
Harmon launches a long three. That's no good. Tracked down by Nicholas.
Wow.
And a foul committed by Bethune-Cookman on Barnes. It'll be Dyson who picks up his second.
I'm surprised they went for that look, and Harmon's 0 for 4. He got a switch and a good closeout.
He's their best three-point shooter in terms of makes.
He is.
Is that the shot you want?
Well, I guess it is. I mean, he took it and they had it in his hands, but I really thought, not to second guess Coach Steers, I thought they'd go to Garrett, because he's had the hot hand. He's 9 for 9. That's 20 points, and he's just been so good in getting what he wants, and they have plenty of time. Now it's a totally different game. They desperately need a 3.
Garrett, reverse layup too strong with 10 seconds left to go. And Barnes is fouled with 8.6 left. And Bethune-Cookman in deep trouble.
They went quick and tried to get the quick, easy basket there. Garrett did. I thought Texas Southern did a great job not fouling him, stopping the clock and giving him an opportunity to get 2 baskets. And you mentioned it, and I'll repeat it. They are in deep trouble here. With only 8.6 seconds to go, and the ball not even touching the rim at this point, making it a 2-possession game.
And we'll have a timeout here called by Texas Southern. Now up by 6. Southern, they play a woo in the background, which is symbolic of pro wrestler, retired pro wrestler now, Nature Boy Ric Flair. And he had a saying, to be the man, you got to beat the man. For the time being, Texas Southern is still hanging around in the mix. They're the man in the SWAC, and you're going to have to knock them off to make sure they don't get to the NCAA tournament. The three from the corner rattles out, and that will do it. Joe French could not connect on that three, and that writes a finish to this game for Bethune-Cookman. Texas Southern holds off the Wildcats. They jumped